The button's out. She's gone. She's gone. And if you're thinking that we've gone completely loony there while Jay relives his fucking teen years with glow sticks and shit, get out of the dark.
Let me put some lights on.
I'll talk to the people. Obviously, we are in celebratory mode, and it isn't because football's back. It's because that horrible, horrible shrew, the woman that looks like a prune, is gone. She's been suspended. She's been kicked off, banned from Twitter. Not all of social media found out earlier on today, but she's gone from Twitter, and she can no longer fill our timelines full of bullshit. Good news, AJ.
Listen, mate, by the way, that's the most bizarre thing I've ever done, raving to Ding Dong, which you said, and I've done, as you well know, done some shit in my time. Yeah, I saw this earlier today. I was out shopping and I checked my phone and it came up. And listen, I muted that bitch years ago because, she's just vile and I didn't want her coming onto my timeline by proxy. But it is good to see because she had 1.1 million followers, I think. She's an awful, awful human being. Spreads a lot of hatred, a lot of bile. Got away with it. Got suspended a few years ago after the arena attack for calling for a final solution to Muslims. We all know what that meant. Amazed that it wasn't a permanent suspension then. But we'll take it now because people say, why'd you care if you muted her? And because I know she's out there. I know she causes a lot of shit. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, listen to it. And I think it's a step in the right direction by Twitter. And I hope it's the first of a few that need to go. Listen, I'm all for free speech. You know that. Me and you say some things that others may disagree with. And I think you've got to be able to have a debate and have varying opinions. But there's a line between free speech and hate speech. We've spoke about it many times already on this podcast, even though it's quite new. And she crosses that line daily. And she's just a fucking horrible, horrible person. And, Twitter's a lot better for not having her on it.
Yes, indeed. You've been evicted. It was just, it is a horrible place. And I used to mute her and block her. And then somebody would say, did you see what she'd put? And I don't know what it is. It's like this weird sort of fascination. You really want to see how people could. When people have these views, I just need to see it because of what I like. I could just, a disbelief. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, why do you watch a horror film? And that's what it was like. And the fact that she had 1.1 million followers on Twitter, the horror film still exists, mate, because she can have them views, but it's the people that actually follow her and then people like her that we need to be worrying about. You can have your figurehead, but the people, there are obviously a lot of people that buy into her values and ideals and believe her bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. Sometimes I sort of get dragged into it, or I see something in the news because her tweets often make the news, and it'll make you think, all right, let's check out that, see what it is, what she's on about. And you're right, people do get dragged into it, and people buy into it, and it's just, one of the biggest bugbears of mine is, I've seen this a couple of times, is like people say, oh, she just tells it how it is. Well, she doesn't tell it how it is. If you think Katie Hopkins tells it how it is, yeah, you're a fucking idiot, and you should probably give up on trying to fucking communicate with other people because you're not up to the job. She doesn't tell it how it is at all. No. She tells it how it isn't. That's the whole thing. That's her shtick. It's just spreading lies and hatred mainly towards Muslims, but towards any sort of minority. She's not, she's almost not prejudiced in a prejudice. She'll fucking go after her.
She hates everyone.
Yeah, she hates everyone.
That's
not sort of white.
Not white. Unless they're white middle class, isn't it? That's it. She doesn't like working class people either.
And a lot of it's an act as well. She's generally vile, but a lot of it, she says things to get a reaction because she knows that this is going to sort of do the biggest damage she can and stuff like that. I remember there's the time in London where the taxi driver drove into some people, and she tweeted like fucking about 100 tweets. She rattled them off, put me to shame in about 10 minutes. This is all Sadiq Khan. This is his London. This is Islam. This is this. This is that. And it turns out it wasn't any of that. It was some taxi driver or some bloke who had accidentally driven into some people. It was like, when it happened a couple of times, but this wasn't one of them. It was a genuine accident. He'd just been on a bridge and his car had his steering had gone or whatever, and he'd hit a couple of people or however many people he hit. So it wasn't a terrorist attack. And then she went home deleting these tweets. I just think, well, you've already spread all that shit to hundreds of thousands of people or whatever, you know, and then you say, no, I'm deleting it. That's not on. And I think Twitter is taking steps in the right direction. She's still on Instagram, I think. They need to get a grip of that. Facebook in it, their own Instagram, I think, is it? Yeah.
Well, we know about Zuckerberg as well. I mean, I think Twitter made probably the biggest stance as a company on this, on what people can and can't say on their platform when they didn't block Donald Trump's comment, did they? But they said it contains maybe strong language or something like that when he was talking about turning guns on his own people, like a fucking lunatic he is. But yeah, but you've got to look at the difference and why isn't Mark Zuckerberg taking stuff like this off Facebook and Instagram? And I was having a discussion about whether she actually believed these views before with my missus, because she doesn't really know much about it. Like she stays pretty much off social media and stuff, which, you know, her world's probably a better place, a better place for her.
Ignorance is truly bliss when it comes to Katie Hopkins. Fucking hell, I envy your missus.
And I was trying to explain to her, I was like, where'd she sort of come from? Because what was the background? She was on The Apprentice one that was when she first came into the public eye.
Yeah, it's almost like box ticking how to get into the public eye more and more, really. Do you know what I mean? For how to fill that certain gap in the market. She was quite, give her a credit, and well, the only bit of credit I'll give her, quite clever in the sense of making the most out of a few skills she's got, and limited skills. She hasn't really got any. It's not very insightful, not very intelligent, yet has managed to sort of carve out some sort of media career, even though it's all gone tits up. So she was on The Apprentice. She went out, I think, halfway through, but I think she quit, which was a sort of like her claim to fame, is that she just walked out of the boardroom sort of thing before she was fired, basically. And then she started spouting just drivel about sort of, she's quite right wing, and then it was things like, you know, she wouldn't let her kids play with kids with different names, with names that were common, like I think she said like Tyler and Chardonnay or whatever the fuck. So she was on This Morning a few times. She did Question Time, she did Newsnight, and all the time as she was getting more and more right wing, she did Big Brother, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And then she got a show on LBC, a radio show, but she always took it too far. She even got a television show for a little while.
Yeah.
And then a television show got cancelled because of shit ratings. No one cared. A radio show got cancelled. I think that might have been on the back of her Final Solution stuff or whatever it was. There was a summit she did, she crossed the line, where even LBC, which will give her home to some, you know, right niners, said, nah, enough is enough. So they got rid of her. Then she tweeted something about Jack Monroe, which was false and libelous, and was sued and lost. So I think she either declared bankrupt or sold her house, whatever. So she lost all the money, and then went on does speaking engagements and stuff like that. You know, when you need a Nazi.
Yeah. I can just imagine that. Ring a Nazi. Right, would you get the yellow pages?
Yeah, we can't. Tommy Robinson's double butts. He's got a caravan park in South Shields. So can we get Hopkins in? Yeah. So yeah, she found a gap in the market, whatever. Was doing that. Obviously had a lot of big following on Twitter and 1 million. This week she went after Rashford because he dared to help provide free school meals to starving kids.
Terrible. What's he doing? What's he doing? Thinking about doing stuff like that? The idiot. It's a horrible gesture.
I was ashamed to be a United fan when I.
I was ashamed to be a Mancunian, mate.
Yeah, mate. You know what? He needs to sort that out, and I'm hoping we can get that reversed somehow. I'm firing off a few emails to some prominent footballers to see if we can fight a campaign to U-turn the U-turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she went after Marcus as well. Got a lot of a reaction because it was so good what he was doing. Obviously fed off that, and I think Twitter. I don't know if that was a straw that brought the camel's back. When Twitter must have looked at it and thought, you know, listen, free speech is fine. Having outlandish opinions is fine. Some people would watch me and you and say what we're talking about is ridiculous. They might be the other end of the political spectrum. And again, I'll go back to that. You need healthy debate. You know, you need dialogue, and you need to be able to say opinions that most people don't agree with. But you can't go causing harm to people. I mean, there was one where someone graffitied a tweet of hers that she'd said in Manchester. I don't know if you remember that. She said there was some sort of, I'll dig it up in a minute. I'll have a look online. someone had spray painted or some graffiti and attacked someone and actually written a tweet of hers, a hateful tweet. I think it was against Muslims again, on like the side of like a mosque or something. I'll double check so I don't want to get my facts wrong. But yeah, she just constantly did these things that just caused more division, caused a lot of anger, and caused a lot of hatred towards people. You know, it's quite dangerous. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're actually telling people to almost go and attack these groups, or these groups are trying to rape your children, these groups are trying to blow you up, they need dealing with. You're not just saying, I don't like that person, or I don't agree with some of their beliefs. It's like, fucking, like, these guys are out to get us. Like, let's get them first, almost, sort of thing. And Twitter, as you mentioned, now, they've had enough, and, you know, more power to them. I just wonder as well, mate, what you think of this with Twitter adding a little thing on Trump's tweets as well, saying that this isn't factually correct. You are now getting rid of Katie Hopkins. Are you all for this sort of censorship, for want of a better word?
I think, I think censorship's one thing, but you just can't. I like being proven wrong, or I like people to challenge my opinion, but I like them to do it in a sort of educated, sort of formal way. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just hateful slander. If you had them certain views, then you explain these views rather than do it for clickbait. And that's what she's just turned into, a caricature or a parody. And I think it's very much like, when you're a group, your young group of lads, or I presume girls are the same, and then there's always one dickhead in your group, and you can't get, when you go to the nice bar, and then he gets banned from there, and then you've got to go down the pecking order down the road, and you end up in the shitty Weatherspoons, and then they can't even get in there, man. And that's what she's done. She's been kicked out the worst Weatherspoons in the pub, and now she's got nowhere else except to stand in a soapbox, except for a fucking street corner, and that's where she is now, and that's where she deserves to be. I hope she fucking rots. So that's what I think, Jay.
She's sat on the park with a load of tinnies.
That's exactly where she's. Like Father Jack, racial slurs. Oh, them fucking Muslims are fucking told. That's exactly what she's like, and that's what she's turned into, a drunk that can't get that nobody wants to speak to. And somebody was telling me today, there are multiple reasons why you shouldn't be racist, right? Yeah. But if you look at Drew Barrymore and you look at Katie Hopkins, they're the same age, and you wouldn't fucking believe it. Really? Racism doesn't. You don't age too well if you're racist. Seriously, I was fucking shocked when I found that out today. But she's just a horrible person, and I don't want to take all the credit for it, because I released a song the day before she got banned, and then obviously Twitter were listening to my song and then thought, you know what, it's right. She's just gonna fucking, she has got dickhead DNA. We don't need any of her typing in, and just fucked her off.
I think you should take some credit, mate. I think there's a definite correlation between you releasing that and her. I think that Jack at Twitter heard it and thought, you know what, Scotty's on the money here.
Yeah,
we need to do something about this, and get rid of her. Just in the interest of being truthful, I don't want to criticize people for lying and then getting my facts wrong. It was a Muslim man got attacked in his home in Huddersfield. I think he was knocked unconscious, and someone wrote a tweet on his wall of what she'd said about. If I can find it here, sorry. It was the Final Solution one that she said. And she said that after the arena attack. And, and that, as someone who covered the sort of the aftermath of that, and from Manchester, it affected us. We were from Manchester. Right-wing knobheads jumping on the back of that boils my piss more than anything, mate. I did an interview the day after the arena attack for Canadian TV. I was at the arena the following day with a load of other reporters, obviously. I reported when he went through the guy's door who did it, and we was just sort of, around Manchester city centre that day. And Canadian TV got in touch with my newsroom, and they wanted a reporter from Manchester to speak to them. And I spoke to them, and I sort of got annoyed because it was like they were driving this narrative of, well, there must be a lot of anger towards Muslims now.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, not really. There must be a lot of divides now between Muslims and non-Muslims in Manchester now. And don't forget, this is like 12 hours after it's gone down, the attack. What I mean? Like, this is the next day. And I'm like, well, no. I think people in Manchester, if anything, we've come closer together with all the communities, and we realise this isn't Muslims and non-Muslims. This is a guy who's done this, who's using Islam, in my opinion, as an excuse, because he just wants to make it of himself, and he's a fucking loser. And he's obviously got some fucking issues. So yeah, I don't think that's the way. That's not what I'm seeing. That's not what I'm experiencing. That's not what I'm feeling. And they were driving, and then he said at the end of it, he said, "Can you come on our daytime show tomorrow?" Which was like late at night for me. He said, because that was like a news segment. He said, "Can you come on our daytime show?" And I said, yeah. It was like via Skype before Zoom took over the world when we used to do Skype. Remember them days? And
wow. Old school. That's hip. You got all hipster.
Yeah. Hey,
hipster there.
Fucking hell. Hey, you did Skype. Hey, next modems, pages.
Yeah. Get them to you still got your Motorola.
Yeah. Tell him to send me a page and I'll ring you. So yeah, I did daytime TV on Canadian. I can't even tell you the fucking channel, to be honest with you. And the guy there was worse. He was like, "Oh, it was." I don't think it was a right wing channel. I think this is what they jumped on it. And, and I was like, "That's just not the case." They were all right. They listened to me. They didn't argue with me. They took my word. I knew what I was talking about. And they were listening to what I was saying. But they were like, there must be now this division, this hatred, this fear. There's a lot of fear around Muslims, and I'm like, no, there's no more fear around Muslims as there is around men, do you know what I mean? People. I said it's not. Manchester's a multicultural city, and we love that, and this will bring us closer together, and I think it did. So yeah, people like her just jumping on that bandwagon, trying to call shit, fucking pissed me off. And she's gone, and more power to her. And it's interesting as well, sort of on the same topic-ish. Just before we came to record this, I saw that Facebook had removed the video that Donald Trump had manipulated of the two kids, the black and white.
Yeah, was it the CNN video?
Apparently one of the parents of one of the kids asked Facebook to take it down because it had been manipulated and it featured their kid. Because he changed it, didn't it, to make it look like one was being chased. And then said, this is how the media report it, when actually this is what happened. And one of the parents has said, obviously I don't want my video of my kids being manipulated by that fucking idiot, even if he is the president. So can you take it down? And Facebook did. I don't know whether they had to legally or they just did because it's the right thing to do.
I imagine they haven't got a leg to stand on. If they didn't do that and they knew it was manipulated, then I think it sort of shows the true colours of Mark Zuckerberg. If that don't happen, but your story about speaking to the Canadian press reminded me of what I had a very similar experience. And don't forget, within 12 hours of the bomb, we didn't actually know who'd done it or what had actually, we were just dealing with the aftermath of the tragedy. And I got a phone call from a paper in Denmark, Politiken, and I don't know if they're a right wing paper or I'm not too sure where they lie politically. But he was very similar when he was asking me questions. So who do you think it is? Is it the Muslims? And I was like, I don't know. I said, I'm just an artist in Manchester. Yeah, but what do you think we should do now? I said, I don't work for the fucking MI5, mate. And will there be division within Manchester? And I put it, and it's all printed in fucking Danish. I've got a copy of it, and I ain't got a fucking clue what I've said. I might be seen as some sort of fucking seriously. And I'm like,
you know what this reminds me of, mate? Do you know what this has the feeling of? Have you seen Chappelle when he does about Jarul after 9/11?
No.
Oh, have you not seen it? Mate, you've got after we get off there, after we finish this, right? Google Chappelle, Jarul 9/11. It's one of the funniest bits I've ever seen in my life. He says basically, after 9/11, he was listening to radio or whatever, or watching MTV. So I keep saying MTV, whatever. And I'm shit now because I'm going to do a Dave Chappelle impression of them doing this. So anyone who's watched will be like, that's not funny or whatever. But I'll try and do my best. And he sort of says, I'm listening and I hear like, yeah, well, this is a tragic time. We've got Jarul on the phone. Jarul, in the wake of 9/11, give us your thoughts. And he's like, damn, I got some questions that the may not be able to answer. I don't need to hear from fucking Jarul. I'm dead.
That.
What the fuck? What the fuck do I want to hear from Jarul for?
But that's what he says in that latest one that everyone should watch. Like his latest piece that he brought up. He goes, nobody gives a shit what Ja Rule says. Like, why?
He's referencing that.
I was literally stood in this room trying to speak to a guy from Denmark who spoke broken English, kept asking me to slow down. I didn't have a fucking clue what he was saying. I didn't have a clue what he was interpreting me. It's been published in fucking Danish. I ain't got a clue what I've said. And he's like, so was it the Muslims? And I'm like, I don't know, mate. I'm just a fucking artist. Like, just leave me the fuck alone. And
I love the fact in Denmark that there's like a newsroom or whatever, and they're like, something happens in the sea, Manchester come and get our kid on the phone.
That's it, mate.
Come on, we need our kid to make sense of all this. Can someone please get him?
I was proper gobsmacked. I got an email. Would you fancy speaking to us? I thought, all right, there's a good PR opportunity or a promo opportunity. Yeah, speak to them. Yeah, it's fucking mental, mate. And then the Telegraph got in touch after that, and I thought, fuck, I can't be asked for them.
Oh yeah, good lad. Yeah, I get that. It's mad that because Danish TV Danish TV got in touch once. They wanted me to do something about Peter Schmeichel. Peter Schmeichel, during the World Cup in Russia, was working for Russian TV, which apparently was owned by the Russian government or something. I might be wrong here. This is what I was told. So they got hold of me as a United fan, and he said, like, I spoke to the woman, the producer or reporter or whatever, and she said, this wasn't on air. She said, this was just a call to set it up. She said, well, I wanted to know if you as a United fan, would you come on and talk to us about Peter Schmeichel? So I said, yeah, what about him? He said, well, he's working for Russian television during the World Cup. I thought, right, okay. Right. Yeah. Well, I'm struggling to see the angle here. He said, a lot of people might be outraged at that, with Russia's human rights record and the fact that some countries got sanctions. They think that Peter Schmeichel may have crossed the line here, working for Russian television. And I just sort of said, well, she said, because, United fans love him, and no doubt you love him. And I said, well, I don't really care about Peter Schmeichel working for Russian TV. I do care about the fact that he went to Manchester City and fucking in front of Manchester United fans when they beat us in a derby. And I personally don't treat him like a legend. I can't fucking stand him. And she went, oh, right. Okay, well, that's not really very, we're probably just better. Leave it, get someone else. I'd argue that working for Russian television is probably the best thing that Peter Schmeichel's done since he left Old Trafford. She's like, yeah, no, you're right.
We need a Peter Schmeichel expert. Who are we going to get? Who's the voice of Peter Schmeichel? What the fuck are you thinking?
Honestly, do you know what? I got it. The best one was, when Cardiff beat United last season, end of the season. Yeah. I got another one. This time there's always Scandinavian. It's Norwegian TV, and they got in touch. Can you do something with us? And I said, yeah, not a problem. And funnily enough, they got an office in town. He said, we're based in Manchester. We can come and meet you. So I said, yeah. So I said, come and meet me at my studio. I said, if you want, we'll go into the full-time Devils studio. We'll do it in there. You've been in there, haven't you? We've done Sky and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
In there. So I said, come in there. It's all kitted out United. You'll love it. Anyway, she said, so I met her at the front door of the office, and she said, no, can we do something outside? Can we do it outside, like on a bench or something? I said, yeah, it's fine. Go to the city centre. And the cameraman, assistant guy, had like a big tub of ice cream with him, like a fucking massive 2-litre job or whatever. And she went, we've got an idea. She said, what we're thinking, right, is, fucking I should have just said, you're all right or whatever. I'm not fucking well. I'm too angry. She said, we want you to eat this ice cream, this chocolate ice cream on a bench. Like you're pissed off and depressed because United have lost to Cardiff and not got top four.
Bridget Jones.
Right. I've got it right. And the thing is, I've got to admit, right?
Oh, shit.
The thing is, right, Scotty, I like you. You think, I'll do it, and you never know. But, I get nothing out of this. Like the channel doesn't really get much notice of it. I don't really get much notice. It's just, I don't mind talking about United. And if someone asks me, I'll do it as you know what I mean? Just because I I've asked people for favours sort of thing. So I just said, yeah, I'll do it. And then she had decided, I thought, fuck it. And I thought I might have been a bit reluctant if it was going out on BBC Northwest Tonight or something, but I was thinking, fucking who cares? If I make a bit of a tit of myself in Norway, I make a tit of myself in Manchester enough. So I said, yeah. Right. So sat, do you know where I went? I went to St. Peter's Square, right? Because it's near our studio.
Place to eat ice cream.
Yeah. So I sat there. The fucking worst thing is about dinner time as well. So everyone's watching us because they're filming. And I'm sat there like a nana. Right. And he didn't get like a spoon. He had an ice cream scoop, a proper scoop. So I'm eating it with his fucking scoop, right? and he's filming, right? And he's filming. She goes, "Yeah, just eat it, and I'll ask you some questions." So I'm eating away, right? I'll dig it out and I'll put it on this vid. At least it's still. I'll let people see. And then I'm eating for about 2 minutes, right? Like, and I'm thinking, the fucking question's going to start here. What? I'm almost full up, and this is fucking giving me a head freeze. And then she goes, no, keep eating. And I'm like, I'm fucking going through half this tub, Spanish, right? I'm feeling a bit sick. And then she's like, right. And then she asked me these questions like, what do you think about Ollie? What, United are not made top 4. We got beat off Cardiff and all this shit. So I was like, yeah, it's not good enough, but give him time, blah, 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 blah. Did all that, right? Completely fucking forgot about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because everything was popping off at the end of the season. And then about 4 months later, I got an inbox on Facebook off my mate who's Norwegian. And he went, why the fuck have I just seen you on telly eating ice cream on Norwegian TV? He went, what the fuck's going on?
Oh, I'm crying.
I'm telling you, pop up on my screen eating ice cream. I went, oh, mate, I forgot about that. Yeah. It's like, I wonder, like, I don't want to cast aspersions on an entire fucking area, but like, I wonder what the Scandinavians must think of us. Like, they're getting some random people to come and talk about some random shit for them, aren't they? Me and you popping up.
What the? That's fucking bizarre. That's just so mental.
It was fucking mad, but it was funny. I got him to send me the clip. I said, send me the clip. He sent it me and I watched it. It was funny. But yeah, you always end up doing these mad things, don't you? When you sort of.
Well, you say yeah once you're in the position. Next minute you sat in a tub with ice cream in St. Peter's Square. You don't know what's going to happen once you say yes to it, and then you're too far along to say no. That's one of the best stories you told. That's fucking brilliant.
Take it out. But yeah, it's been it's. I mean, I quite enjoy chatting about United anyway. So whenever I get asked, I'm always fucking up for it. But yeah, quickly on that point as well, because a lot of people will be like, we are mad United fans, me and you, and obviously United were just being recorded just after the Spurs game. I just want to say one thing first of all.
Yep.
The way me and Scotty are going to do this now is we think we're going to try and get 3 vids out a week. So we'll have the top 5 will go out on Saturday.
Tuesday the podcast.
Tuesday I'm going to
just start that again. Or do you want to edit that?
Oh, you can do it. Right? You know the order, right? You tell me how it's going to work. Because I had this planned and I've forgotten already. Wait a minute. Let me see in our messages, right?
We're recording Monday night.
Right, we're recording Monday night.
Yeah.
That goes out Tuesday morning.
That's a podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. Record Wednesday night. That goes out Thursday morning.
Yep.
And we record
Thursday night to go out Saturday morning, or Friday night to go out Saturday morning.
Friday night, Saturday morning.
We're going to have videos out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah. And we're not doing one Sunday as well. That's what I was
Sunday. That's 4 videos then.
Yeah. Sorry, is it 4 we're doing a week then?
Yeah. So we're going to do the football on a Sunday, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to do. That's what I'm getting at. Sorry, that's what I'm getting at. We're going to be doing a football review on a Sunday where we'll go over all the football from the weekend, United, wise. But just quickly, Scotty, be remiss of us not to chat about it while we're on United Spurs.
Yeah, it was hard to watch. I thought, mate. I'll be honest. The first half, I spent most of the time fucking on Twitter. I've just finding out what everybody else thought and how bad it was. I think everyone shared my opinion that it was just a difficult watch. Second half was a lot better than the first. I thought they picked up the pace, and just results wise, we'd have took a point before the coronavirus hit, wouldn't we? Away at Spurs and the Jose team, and then so we'd probably take a point now. Pogba was great when he came on, and that was a positive. De Gea fucked up massively. I was fucking. You want to try and defend him, but it's sometimes it's just at what point do you stop? At what point do you say enough's enough? And I don't. To be honest, I thought my highlight of the whole fucking football was seeing the return of Roy Keane with his crazy. It makes my hair look great the way that fucking Roy Keane, the state of him turning up.
I want to ask you about Roy Keane because, like you say, I agree with everything you said about the game. I'm not just saying that. Me and you argue a lot about football. We share a lot of views, but everything you just said, I can't disagree with. Just on Roy Keane, quickly.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet that I quite liked, and it said, Roy Keane's now, I'm going to get it wrong. I liked it that much, I've fucking forgotten the exact wording. But it's like Roy Keane's no longer being Roy Keane. He's someone playing Roy Keane.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
I think my mate Ian said exactly the same thing. It feels a bit forced, like he's sort of putting on his Roy Keane in the studio suit, and then sort of. I understand what you mean, because there was a couple of times when he was going about the whole. Well, he needs to get back on a bus or get a fucking taxi or a lift or fucking jump or run down the fucking M6 back down to fucking Manchester. You know what I mean? And it felt like he was trying to force a narrative out there that would get the clickbaits. And I think that might be his PR people in his ear saying that, you know, maybe you should try and stay that. I don't know if Roy Keane would that be that way swayed, but he did. So some of it did feel forced. But I am the number one fanboy of Roy Keane. So whatever Roy Keane, you know, he can do no wrong in my eyes. I fucking love that man. Roy Keane's biography is the only book I've read. Not the only book I've read. Don't clip that, right? The only book I've sat down.
A voice for us. He's read one book in his life, and it's Keano's biography, the fucking fraud.
It's all a farce. But it's the only book that I picked up and read, I literally just picked it up and then didn't move until I'd finished the book. And I don't know. It's fucking. We can have a whole Roy Keane episode if you want. But I understand that comment, and to an extent, I agree. But it was just great to see him back in the studio. And there are many other pundits that are out there that play a similar character. That sort of, I think in a lot of ways, Paul Merson will play the idiot a lot more than he actually is. Well, I hope so, for fucking Paul Merson's sake. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of them do. And Chris Kamara, he's not like that at home with his missus when he's trying to do the fucking dishes. He plays the comedy.
I've met Chris Kamara. You're right. He's nothing like that.
I've got a funny. I've actually put my groin in Chris Kamara's face. There's a story, and it wasn't for a second.
You can't just leave it at that. Go on.
It wasn't for a second series, Alan.
Did Chris Kamara have a choice in this?
No, he didn't. He didn't at all. It was we went to me and mate Ian again. We went to the San Siro, and I think it was United. I think it was AC Milan that time, and I think Crespo. I think got beat 2-0. Crespo scored. We came out of the stadium. Have you been to the San Siro, Jay?
No, to my embarrassment, I haven't.
Oh man, then
I've never been to Italy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it's getting knocked down as well. It's a shame. Fantastic stadium, but when you come outside, the other week I was talking about Sunderland having fuck all around it. San Siro, it's just fucking. It's more or less pitch black. This car pulls up along the side of us, says "Get in." Not in a Manc accent, obviously in a sexy Milan accent. And then me and my mate went like, fuck that, we seen a blade in him. So we just fucking legged it. And then we seen a tram. So fucking literally Denzel Washington with some fucking 90s action film dived through the doors. Or like Gwyneth Paltrow, probably more. Got through the sliding doors and then just landed. And then Chris Kamara sat there, he must have been doing some work. And Chris Kamara's head's there, and I've jumped in, and my fucking head's fucking wafting me groin in Chris Kamara's.
Was you like, unbelievable, Jeff?
Yeah. He wasn't happy.
No, I interviewed. My story's not nearly as funny as yours. I interviewed him, and he was. I thought he'd be like he's on the telly, but he wasn't. He was just normal.
Yeah.
He was pretty chill.
That's what I mean. So in the context of when you take all pundits that they all do that, I'd much prefer to watch a Roy Keane doing it than say a Graham Souness. Oh
yeah, we'll get on to that in a minute. But the funny thing is, I told you about the time I met Keano.
No, you haven't. Tell us that.
Well, there's sort of 1.5 stories here. The first time I met him, we was 14. We were in Altrincham, me and my mates, and we seen Roy Keane and Lee Sharp walking through the centre. We were only 14, yeah, so it was like 94 years, 14, as like I said. So we ran over, Keano, Sharp, and Sharp was all right. He signed my ticket stub for the match the night before. We played West Ham, and it was when you used to have, paper ticket stubs. I know he's still doing the TRA, but he signed that. I think I got a pen from somewhere, and he signed it. And then Roy Keane just told us all to fuck off. He was like, fuck off with you. And I thought it was hilarious. I didn't really care. But my mate had Keane on the back of his shirt. He had the black kit. He had Keano, look, in the camera. Just fuck off with you. And I just thought it was fucking hilarious. So that's why mates think he's just genuinely that angry. And the second time was in Athens, was in the Olympiacos game. And we were all kept saying after the game, and Keane, our good mate Tomo, he always has his finger Keane. He's not too fond of him because even though he's a legend as a player, Keane walked past us and we were all going, Keane, and he just blanked us. Like, he's having none of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like Tomo was like, fucking, he's held on to that.
I quite like that. I don't like it when you, because that's the persona that you sort of see on the pitch. I would have hated it if you told the first story and then Keane came over dead nice inside and you make sure. I want Roy Keane to tell me.
I do.
That's what you want. That's what you want him to. Not in like a sadist sort of way, because that'd be a bit weird. But
it's mad though, because my mate, right, my mate, one of my best mates, Gaspar, he ended up getting his flight got cancelled or something. He was stuck in an airport somewhere, Dublin airport somewhere, with Keane in the lounge, and ended up spending like 2 hours with him, just chatting. He's just them two in this lounge, and like he just delayed or whatever, and he ended up chatting, and he said he was fucking sound. Right, but it's different context there, and you're just waiting with the guy and someone to talk to. My mate sound, he's not a fanboy, like he'll be like, oh, tell us your best goal, whatever. So yeah, he said he's sound, but no, I think there's definitely Roy Keane. He's an angry man anyway.
Yeah,
I just think like you were saying, is he sort of amplifying now? Has he got someone in his ear saying this is your gap in the market, this is who you are, this is how you're gonna, or is it even Sky encouraging him? Because Sky, like, they know that's a clickbait sort of clips up winner.
They got Keane on to play that role. That's why that's why Roy Keane is in that studio to argue with Patrice Evra. That's exactly why Roy Keane's there. There's no way he was brought on for his. And I'm not saying he hasn't got any football inside, because a lot of time when you take the anger away from him, he does talk a lot of sense. But don't be mistaken. That's why his box office, when he does stuff like that, that's exactly why Sky say it. That's exactly why Sky hired him, and that I would imagine that there will be people in his ear sort of saying do stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I don't know, man. It's like with Sky, there seems to be sort of the old school presenters and some of the newer presenters, or the younger ones. Like Patrice Evra falls into the younger ones. He was playing football in the Premier League last season, so he's only just retired. There's one or two others as well. Keane, and you mentioned Souness. They're definitely not just from the old school players, because Keane, he was playing up to 2007 or whatever. Whereas obviously Souness longer, but they have that sort of old school mentality. And sometimes, I don't know, there's parts of me that think you've got to move with the times, and some of the things you say, it's good box office and it's quite funny talking about punching people and stuff like that. But where do you draw the line is what I'm getting at. I mean,
that's a good point.
We live in an age now where it's like we talk about the psyche of footballers, the mental health of footballers, the language we use is it's never been more analysed in the history of media than it is now. Me and you've spoken extensively already on this podcast about it over the last few weeks. Where's your line? Is it all right to just say, yeah, you know what, I'd go and smash his head in and he's a fucking this, that, and the other? Because we've seen it with Souness a lot as well. Not so much threatening to kill people or whatever, but with the way he's targeted certain players and the language that he's used around certain players that, doesn't sit right with a lot of fans, including myself. Sometimes I feel like he needs to get a bit more clued up. I just wondered where you stand on that, where you think these pundits should be able to just be at like that and act like play up to it, or whether someone does need to tone it down a little bit and be a bit more balanced and a little bit less incendiary sometimes. What do you reckon?
No, I mean, when you put it in when you frame it like that, it makes a lot of sense. And then I think that Sky are sort of a strange position now, where they're trying to bring in the new generation, like your Rios and your Evers and stuff. But they need to get rid of that old boys club on Soccer Saturday, don't they? Really, with Phil Thompson and all them, because
I can't watch it. I can't watch it.
No, that's an absolute parody. That's like being sat on a Wetherspoons as well. But I think Keane is amplifying it. But when you put in the idea of like, is it bullying? I mean, when we're talking about stuff like Katie Hopkins, and I'm not comparing Roy Keane to Katie Hopkins, but when we're saying you should be saying certain things about groups of people, if you're attacking someone and you've got on a pedestal such as Sky Sports and you've got a massive audience, do you not then have a responsibility for the millions of people that are watching you that are going to take your sound bites or your ideas about that certain player and put it onto social media, because we've seen how it can translate onto social media, can't we? So you're right, they do have an extent, but Sky are putting them on there to act that way. So where's the responsibility? Is it on the person? You can't put Roy Keane on there and expect him not to be Roy Keane. Do you know what I mean? The responsibility isn't with Roy Keane to change his views. Maybe it is outside, and as a person, but he's brought in to do a certain thing. That's Sky stoking the fire. That really is. I don't think it's a Roy Keane problem. I think it's more of a problem of Sky Sports giving these people a pedestal. But we're not getting rid of Roy Keane off Sky Sports. That's the end of it.
No, I 100% agree. Listen, I love Keane. I thought it was quite amusing. I do worry if he starts to become a parody of himself. I'd hate to see that happen, because he doesn't need to do that. He can be himself, be entertaining, be funny, and be insightful as well. Few players in the history of football have got the experience and the talent, or had the talent and the achievements that Roy Keane has had. He's won a lot. He's won games single-handedly. He's won however many titles at United. He's played for two of the greatest managers in the history of football. He's got a wealth of experience, and he's got the confidence and to get that across and to argue his point and articulate his point. And he doesn't need to go in for the pantomime stuff. I hate for him, and I'm not saying he's not an intelligent guy, but to get manipulated into the set where he just becomes an almost clown-like figure, where it's like, oh yeah, Roy Keane's going to come on now and tell us how he's going to kill the fucking Watford defence or whatever, or how he wants to shoot Jamie Vardy because he missed the chance. It just becomes a bit silly, and I just hope that's not what happens with Keane, because like you, I love the guy, and I think that what makes him authentic is the fact that that's how he is. He is an angry man who expects the very best from everyone. If he's watching, you can imagine him at the school, kids match, screaming, be one of those parents that's probably shouting at his kid for not fucking scoring a hat-trick. Do you know what I mean? He's like that. But I just hate for him to sort of cross the line, because I think there's a little bit too much of that sometimes, and I'm a fucking football YouTuber, and people have a go at us for wrecking football and spouting opinions and all that. But we're not mainstream in the sense of, as pundits, and we don't claim to be, he's a pundit, he knows his stuff. That's why you want to watch him, for that insight. He knows, not just for fucking daft threats and bluster. So I hope they get a nice balance, because I'd hate to see it sort of, like I say, become a bit of a parody. One thing that has become a bit of a fucking joke, and I'm sorry to bring it up because it's just deflating as usual, is we are still dealing with the coronavirus, as you know, obviously. Now, I don't know if you've been keeping abreast of what our country's been doing in terms of tackling it, but it seems to, it seems to be like how not to handle a fucking pandemic half the time with government. It's like they've read a book and decided to do the opposite of what it says in the book. Do you know what I mean? I know we've been through this, but I'm gonna go through it again. We locked down late. We let events carry on, like Cheltenham, Atletico Madrid versus Liverpool. Even in Manchester, we had the fucking St. Patrick's Day parade when we shouldn't have done. That's by one thing. Then, we eventually do go into lockdown. You think, all right, we're getting something right. After we announce to the pubs and everything, we're going to go into lockdown. So everyone crams into the pubs for like one big last jolly up. Then we have this thing where it's like, right, we're going to have these rules and you've got to stick by them. And then these rules are getting broken by members of the government. So then rather than admit they broke the rules, they say that the rules weren't broken. We just didn't. Everyone else on the fucking planet, or everyone else in Britain, didn't understand the rules the way that they did. So that's a fucking farce for starters. And then the test figures are manipulated. We get this arbitrary figure that they come out with. I'm going to hit 100k by the end of April, whatever it was, which was pointless saying that. It didn't mean anything. He came up, Matt Hancock, the self-secretary, came up with this figure. And then what they do is just start posting tests out to everyone. Fucking truckloads of them to hit this figure. Half of these tests haven't even been used. It's just a load of nonsense. And then they don't hit that figure again. So then they stop publishing the figures. Then we've got the worst death rate in Europe, or one of the worst death rates in the world. So they stop publishing the figures that compare us with the rest of the world. They just tell us all these lies. And all that's been going, as well as all this has been going on for the last few months, we've had this sort of announcement that they're going to have this wonderful app, this test and track app that's going to change all our lives and, let us know who's got the virus or whatever, or how to handle it and what to do. It was meant to be ready on the 1st of June. It wasn't. And now they're rolling it back and it looks like it's going to get scrapped. I mean, for fuck's sake. And all the time, right, you've got people at Apple saying, like,
let us do it.
Let us do it. The government like, no, we'll do this. Now, I was saying this to mum and dad's before socially distancing, by the way, but it's mum's birthday, so I'm sat in a
happy birthday.
Yeah, I think it's wrote on the wall. She was made up. Like the one thing, right? I'm no Tory. Yeah, we know that. The one thing that the Tories should be good at is working with the private sector and letting the private sector do things that parts of the private sector are good at. If there was one thing I'd say about the Tories, not as a praise, just one thing you'd expect from them, is, well, they're all about free enterprise. They're all about private sector doing things. So you think that when they need something doing, they'd be able to work with the private sector and get it done. And they haven't. And not only have they not got it done, the private sector has gone to them and said, we can do this for you. And they've said, no, and fucked it up. I mean, what's going on, man? Seriously, do you know what I mean? What do you think about all this mess?
The app is just another one. I mean, even when they were looking for oxygen masks, the amount of people that were on Newsnight or even on social media and newspapers that had gone to the government and said, listen, we have the capability and the equipment that we can, if you want, we can start making these things now. And it was just emails, loads of companies across the country that just didn't get replied to, or they got replied to and said, yeah, we'll follow up at a later date. And nobody ever did. And it's just arrogance and ego. And that's been the whole thing from beginning to, God knows when the fucking end will be, but I don't expect the arrogance or the ego to end anytime soon. It's the we know best when you look at the herd mentality, when he was talking about that we're going to do that. Herd immunity, and then when we're talking about the when he's going around fucking shaking hands. Oh, I've been round shaking hands with coronaviruses. I think I shook hands with 5 of them today. Oh, fucking high five to you, Boris. What happened to you? Do you know what I mean? And then that mentality, and then that he spread it around other members of parliament. And then just again the lies and the social distancing up until like when the Norwich player last week got coronavirus, and then this new rule was, oh, unless he's been touching him or in a close proximity for 15 minutes, then it doesn't matter. When nobody heard that rule until that came out about Norwich. So they are just moving the goalposts all the time to fit their agenda, and it's just mistake after mistake. And I've said this so many times, and we've only done a few podcasts, but they have no comeuppance for it. Nothing ever happens. They just go, oh yeah, we fucked up. And I'm fucking Matt Hancock's face and him smiling all the time on fucking morning TV. And he goes, oh yeah, so it was only 163 deaths today. Say that to the fucking families. It isn't your family. Only 163 deaths. And you're looking at the death rates and stuff. It came out today that for 20 days at our peak, we were being lied to in terms of the death rates. Apparently, it was well over 1,000 for 20 days in the bounce. As high it got to at some point as 1,500 deaths, and we're not being told this. So how can we expect any change or them to do anything different when there is no action against them for making these mistakes, and we get nothing until we can do a general election, and then it's too late. They just allowed free reign of the whole country. Everything Dominic Cummings fucking off for eye tests up to the northeast is a fucking joke. It just really is, and it's like, I mean, that'd make a great book title, wouldn't it, for Boris's biography? It would be like how not to control a pandemic. You know what I mean? That'd be it. Because our blueprint, when you're watching this, right, after you people out there, is to go and look at foreign news as to how they view England and how they've dealt with it. Because the difference in headlines between British press and everywhere across the world, we're just a fucking laughing stock. You think the way we were printing about Italy was bad, and we've surpassed everything that fucking Italy fucked up on, and had a 2-week notice in terms of, we can start making preparations because we know the way it's coming. Didn't do that. You look at New Zealand, South Korea, Singapore, left, right, and centre, and we don't learn from our mistakes, and it's just arrogance and ego all the way through it.
Mate, nothing but facts in what you've just said. I mean, there seems to be this sort of strategy or this trait of the government to just never apologise and never admit any wrongdoing or mistakes. I mean, you saw Emmanuel Macron go on the telly, French TV, almost 2 months ago, I think it was, 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, and apologise and say, we have made mistakes. This was an overwhelming worldwide pandemic. We did the best we could. Some things we got right, some things we didn't get right, but we're going to make sure that we've learned from what we've not got right and changed it. And his approval rates way up. People in France were like, fair enough, we get it. Do you know what I mean? I understand it. It's, no matter how much you prepare for it, it was something that was pretty, unheralded, going back 100 years since we've had something like it. So it's completely different, when you're talking about the Spanish flu. So I understand all that. But there seems to be this sort of strategy of we're never ever going to say, or this policy of we're never going to say sorry, we're never going to admit we've made any mistakes, we're never going to admit that this isn't good enough. So when you, like you saying, we're up to 1,500 deaths, the line about the death rate, when the death rates against other countries are shown to be poor, they make excuses. It's like, oh well, we've got certain things that country haven't got. We've got higher population. We're not talking about population. We're talking about the rate of deaths. And even like, I don't want to get off topic here, but it just reminds me of this. You had the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, go on Talk Radio the other day and suggest that the Black Lives Movement taking a knee stemmed from Game of Thrones. Now,
obviously,
Scott, as I'm saying this sentence to you, I'm having to sort of second guess myself. As I'm saying the words, the Foreign Secretary went on the radio and said he thought that the Black Lives Matter movement idea of taking a knee came from Game of Thrones. I'm questioning my fucking sanity of that sentence. Did that really happen? But it did. And it's just, I think there's a mixture here of arrogance and stupidity. And it's like, they're arrogant, they don't give a toss, and they're thick. And just because they've got a posh accent and double-barreled fucking names or whatever, or the wives related to the fucking Queen, doesn't mean they're clever. They're not. A lot of them are genuinely stupid. And they're fucking leading us into the abyss in some cases. They are. And it's like, even an open goal like that, just go on the radio, and say something as fucking beige as you can say about Black Lives Matter if you're not into it. Just say that everyone's got the right to protest. You just want it to be done in a lawful way. Yeah? It's beige, it's bland, it's fucking meaningless. People expect you to say it, so just fucking say it and move on to the next subject. Don't compare it to a fucking TV show featuring dragons and swords, you absolute cretin. And then don't try and laugh it off. And what annoyed me about that was, if you do that, right, you think, someone has a word with you and they say, you know what, no, you've dropped a ball there, everyone's kicking off. You shouldn't have said that. This means a lot to a lot of people. You're the Foreign Secretary. If you don't know what taking a knee is, how it started in America, you fucking idiot. It's made you look really bad. You need to issue a statement about it and just sort of apologise and hold your hands up. And he issued a statement that wasn't an apology. It was fucking nothing. It was like the first one I said about the beige comment. He sort of tries to say, I respect Black Lives Matter or whatever. There's no apology, and there never is.
No, there never is. I mean, I can't fucking remember any prime minister in my lifetime really coming out and apologising for anything they've done. They just allow the duration of their term to go to pass, and then they fuck off earning loads of money on the circuit of doing talks. There is never any apology, because then they can start. What's the word I'm looking for? Then they're open to account, then, aren't they? I think it gives them a sense of vulnerability. But it's just it's an absolute joy. And then did we touch on the Keir Starmer stuff as well? Did we talk about? No, we did. We talked about on the last one about with Alex the other night about where he was jumping on the Marcus Rashford about how Labour needed it. Do you know what I mean? So it's not as though like we've got great heroes on the other side that are acting like fucking idiots. You know what I mean? The people who are supposedly on our side that are fighting against these comedians are equally making just so many mistakes. It's just, I was watching a load of stuff on David Lammy following our previous conversation when I was saying that I'm sick to death of politicians, but he is really an inspirational figure, and I've been watching loads of him. And I don't know if you have seen a documentary on Windrush at the moment. Have you seen it?
I can't. Right, I want to see it, Scotty. It's important, but it's gonna fucking infuriate me, mate. And I mean, it's gonna, and I'm, you know, I don't mean to, everyone who knows me knows I wear me out my sleeve, and I'll get involved in all sorts, and I've got an opinion about everything and anything, like yourself. That's why we do this podcast. But I need to be in the right headspace to sit down and watch it, because I know it's gonna fucking make me want to go out and smash something to bits, because I know the background to it, and that fucking infuriates me. That is a national disgrace and a big, massive black mark on this government's reputation. And let's not forget, Grenfell, Windrush, they do this shit and they get voted in.
Yeah.
It doesn't even cost them elections. And that's what baffles me. And it's not just what they do, it's the reaction to it as well. Again, the apology is half-hearted. It's fucking almost a non-apology apology. There's no repercussions, like you say. No one's held to account. But no, I want to watch that because I've been. Is it a dramatization or a documentary?
Yeah, no, it's a dramatization. It's called Sitting in Limbo, and it basically follows the life of Anthony Bryan.
It's Patrick Robinson in it. Is it Patrick Robinson?
Is it Patrick Robinson? Patrick. Yeah, it is. Yes, Patrick Robinson, who plays the character of Anthony Bryan, who was actually and it shows a drama about when he was during the Windrush scandal. He was getting letters saying, "We need to see your documentation," and he came to this country when he was 8 years old, and he didn't have any documentation. You know, because time passes on and people do lose passports, and they don't have school records because schools close or they lose their records and stuff like that. And he was going back and forth to the immigration office. At first, he wasn't even told the reasons behind it, and then next minute, the house gets stormed. And he gets dragged off to a detention centre and then put there for 2.5 weeks and says that maybe you're going to have to go back to Jamaica. And then I don't know if you can do spoilers or stuff like that, but I have not watched anything. Got goose pimples now. I was fucking crying, mate. I was crying my fucking eyes out in anger, and then out of pure sympathy for the man, the fucking trauma that must have gone through, the shit he lost through his family, losing his house, nearly lost his marriage over it, and his mental health, the breakdown of a man. Do you know what I mean? And this from what I've seen and what I've read. He's just a proud man who loved his country and the community. He was a worker. You know what I mean? He was just one person of so many during the Windrush scandal that was just swept up just due to a policy that was fucking ill thought out by Amber Rudd and the Tory government, because they believed that they were getting from Amber Rudd's words. This is a half-hearted apology. Said, "Yeah, well, maybe we got the policy wrong. We thought we were just going to get a few bad eggs or something along them lines." When really they were just fucking herding up anybody. And like I've studied Black history at university, so I'm quite well educated in the Windrush generation and the fucking how them people were treated when they got off that boat after a lot of them after serving in war and stuff like that for the country. And it's just fucking infuriating to actually just see this drama. I'm getting really weird. I can't fucking stand it. And this is what I mean, is that Amber Rudd fell on a sword, but there was no repercussions. There's still fucking cases going on now. Like, people have still lost fucking livelihood and jobs because when he was going through all the immigration stuff, he couldn't work because he didn't have any documentation. He goes, "Well, how are you working without any documentation?" And it's just fucking. I know it is difficult to watch, and I watched it at fucking 12 o'clock at night, mate, and I think it finished about maybe 1:15, and I was up most of the night just fucking reading and just fucking proper infuriating. It's such an important watch, but again, it's like you said, Grenfell, Windrush, coronavirus, Brexit, referendum, bullshit, lies. And it just happens time and time again. And there are no repercussions on it. I think, and my honest belief is that if the fucking Tories have a policy, or they say they profess that they're going to do something in their manifesto, and they can't fulfill it, then you lose your job. Or if it's something that if your policies result in the detriment of lives, then you have to be faced with prison sentence. Then you'll see how important they take their job. When there's repercussions like that, do you know what I mean? When it's affecting their livelihoods, when it's affecting their pockets, it's a completely different story. But they don't want to do that. No apologies, fuck all bullshit excuses, and they just go time and time again, and it's just fucking infuriating because you don't see it. You just can't see any end of it.
You can't, mate. And this is why everything you just said there is why I need to watch it when I'm ready to watch it, because I'm going to be like you. It's going to infuriate me. But we've got to wrap up there. But we don't want to end on a bad note. So I think we need to remind people that how we started this show.
Yes.
Twitter.
Just give me a second. Yeah, Twitter. Twitter is a great place now.
It's
Twitter,
a little bit better. It's a little tiny, teensy little bit better.
Twitter, if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, it's like when the green bitch has been hit by a house. Scotty and Motty, we shall see you on Sunday.
Don't forget to subscribe.